Hey y'all, today we're gonna make mac and cheese. When I first opened this restaurant, my ultimate goal was to make sure that everyone, or as many people as possible, could come in and eat and enjoy the food. And so for our mac and cheese, I like to think of it as mac and cheese for everyone, meaning it's not any kind of like weird ingredient. It's just very accessible. It's a very inclusive mac and cheese. So that said, let's get into the ingredients. Okay, to get started, the first thing you're going to need is a pound of dried pasta, preferably a small pasta like elbow macaroni, butter, flour, milk, shredded cheddar, preferably white cheddar, nutmeg, onion powder, Dijon mustard, salt, pepper, breadcrumbs, and then more cheddar for topping. For a full list of ingredients and measurements, check the description below. Okay, the first thing we need to do is boil our pasta. And I got a pot of boiling water, lightly salted. I'm gonna toss that in. Make sure you have enough water that you're not crowding the pasta. This isn't gonna take very long, probably about 5-6 minutes. Make sure you don't overcook it, because by the time that you mix it with your bechamel and bake it, it's gonna be pudding. That would be gross. So we're gonna let this boil for about 5-6 minutes, and when it's done, we're gonna shock it in this pot of freezing cold water. Okay, so it's been about 6 minutes. My pasta is a nice al dente. I'm going to take it out of this boiling water, and I'm gonna put it right into this pot of ice cold water. And in case you were ever wondering, that's what shocking is, because it's shocking to go from boiling to freezing, and that's what's happening to this pasta right now. It's in shock. I'm gonna chill that, and what that does is it stops it from cooking, so that you have the ultimate control over the consistency of this pasta. If you didn't do that and you let it sit while you were making your sauce, you would end up with mushy mac and cheese. So I'm going to drain that. It's nice and cold now. And I'm going to put this in the pot and put it in a bowl. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to make our bechamel now. So we're going to make a bechamel now, which is basically just a milk-based sauce that's thickened with basically a white roux, and then we add a lot of cheese to it. We're going to start with a stick of butter, and that can be salted or unsalted, whatever you have, because you could always adjust the salt level at the end. So I'm melting a stick of butter over a medium flame, and then I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup of flour, and we're just gonna cook these together just until they're incorporated. So you want the butter to melt and this to become kind of a very loose paste. Basically, we're starting a roux, but we're not going to color it at all. And that doesn't take very long at all, just about a minute or so. Once you have the butter and flour nicely incorporated together, you're going to add 4 cups of whole milk. And I would do this slowly at first, just to help it get it incorporated, and so that you're not dealing with lumps. I'm gonna add the rest of my milk now. Okay, so You want to keep whisking and make sure you get all those lumps out. And once that comes up to a simmer, it's going to start to thicken a little bit. So that milk was kind of cold when I put it in there. So we're going to let this go for a minute to simmer. Okay, so we let that come to like a light simmer, and you can see it's starting to thicken up like a gravy. Make sure you keep a whisk on that. You don't want to scorch your milk because that would be a sad thing. All right, the next thing we're going to add is our shredded white cheddar. The cheddar that we use here at the restaurant is a Vermont white cheddar, but there's a lot of cheddars out there, and you don't even have to use white. I just really like this particular brand. So we're going to whisk that in. Then we're going to throw in our onion powder. Come on, onion powder. How rude. Onion powder, nutmeg. It's a very small amount of nutmeg. You don't really want to know that it's there. A tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And that's just going to give it a little oomph, you know, a little bite, without making it spicy. We're not doing a spicy mac and cheese. Although I would not be against that, but this is mac and cheese for everybody. And then I'm going to give this a little taste. See where I'm at. It does need salt. I just added about a tablespoon. And that might seem a little excessive, but the pasta is bland. So you actually want your bechamel to taste kind of over-seasoned. And then a lot of people use white pepper. I don't like white pepper, but if you like white pepper, great. But I'm gonna use black pepper. And that's about a teaspoon. And you know, it's not all pretty and white anymore, but I don't mind seeing the black pepper flakes. Okay, so I have my pre-cooked elbow macaroni and my bechamel, which is still warm, and I'm actually going to pour this over this whole thing. And one thing, when you want to make a very decadent, sexy, memorable mac and cheese, your ratios are pretty much going to be 50-50 mac and cheese to bechamel. You really want all that cheese and flavor. Don't skimp on it, and it might look soupy and it might look excessive, but when this bakes out and the mac and cheese blooms out into your flavorful bechamel, you'll be happy. Just trust me. So we have this. I mixed it all together, and I have my little casserole dish that I'm gonna bake this in. You can spray it or not spray it. The only reason I'm spraying it is so that it's easier to clean later. It's not really doing anything as far as flavor goes. And I'm just gonna pour this. I'm gonna pour this into my dish. I have a little extra. All right. And then I'm going to top this with a lot more cheese. And just for color contrast and for the hell of it, I'm going to use yellow cheddar. Both cheddars that I used were sharp, but you know, use whatever flavor you like. So that was about a cup of yellow sharp cheddar. And then I'm just putting some basic breadcrumbs. That's going to soak up some of the fat, some of that extra bechamel, and then it's going to give us a nice crunchy topping. And then we're going to put this in the oven. Okay, it's in about 10 minutes. I'm going to pull my, man, that's hot. Woo! There she is. Bubbly, golden, and delicious. Let's serve some. Okay, I let this cool down just for a few minutes. but let's go ahead and serve some up. It's our baked mac and cheese for everybody. All right, I'm okay with that. Cheesy, hot, delicious. You're gonna need to wait a little while for fear of destroying the inside of your mouth with hot cheese. Creamy on the inside, crunchy on the top. Bon appetit.